feel like our camera angle is a little intimate today.
You don't make it intimate. You're making it intimate by talking about it. And also in that, don't do the slow voice.
It's really
No. I said don't do it. No. Don't make me propose a rule that Chad's not allowed to do the slow voice.
I don't need any additional rules, so slow voice is out.
All right. Got it.
Good to go.
Yes. All right,
Hey
good.
guys, it is the Well Built series. Thank you so much for checking us out for episode whatever number this is.
That is exactly the episode that we're on.
It's exactly that episode. It's getting to be the holiday season, buddy.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing very, very good. Funny thing, didn't expect to bring this up now, but funny thing on a couple of calls today, it's right before Thanksgiving as we're recording this, and I think it was just on 2 of our normal meetings with our clients, just kind of popped into mind to say, hey, does anybody have anything they're grateful for, that they want to share before we go into Thanksgiving? And that was a very fill your cup moment. That was great.
Really?
Just the people we work
Just
with are
listening
great.
to-
And
yeah.
and that, I love the holiday season because people are like more chill, and they really remember that humans are humans a little bit more. And so I'm doing really, really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like especially on election years, there's a particular kind of like, okay, the fighting part is over. Let's everybody remember that we're all humans and that we really should be figuring out ways to work together and that type of stuff. I agree.
Yeah.
I love the holiday season for 100 reasons. But I particularly like not feeling bad about putting on my jammies at like 6 p.m.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that great?
It is.
Isn't it great? Oh my gosh. And eating a bunch of food, like just such good
Totally.
Food all the time.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I am
great.
having a very hard time not eating all of the food.
Yes. Especially before the show.
It's so fun. And I didn't.
And I'm proud of you.
Hard and fast, bud. Like there's rules.
Did your family eat dinner and you
Yes.
My family. Can I shake your hand? Can I shake your hand?
Man.
We're shaking.
You probably
wow.
Should. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You
that is
bet,
high
bud.
integrity.
Yeah, super hard. My wife said, "Do you want to eat?" I was like, "Hun, there's a rule." I was. And she was like, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, she's like, she could see there was a trap there of a story that she did not care about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
It was great.
Oh, that's so funny. How are you?
Dude, I mean, I think that was my check-in. I'm stoked. Things are going really, really well. There's I also am feeling like our clients are reflecting on the year, taking time to appreciate the progress that they've made. We work with awesome companies that dream big and they set bold goals. And so not all of them are hit. But and that's always hard, right? You look at that and you're like, oh man, we're only 90% of where we said we wanted to be on this, or we didn't quite make all the progress on that. And we have this crazy human tendency to focus in on the things that aren't awesome.
Yes.
And I've found that our clients are very well, especially the clients we've been working with for a long time, are getting very good at being like, yeah, but there are, here's 25 things that we did accomplish this year that we look like a very different, better, healthier company today than we did a year ago. And, even though we aren't perfect, right, that's the thing you'll never be. So
you've been doing this for longer than I have. What's it like to just watch all that growth happen for years and just be an observer?
It really amazes me to see how much better people get without having any idea of how much better they've gotten.
Wow.
At communication, at leadership, at problem solving, at decision making.
Yeah.
And so many more things. I could keep going. Making money. Those types of things.
Yeah.
How much better they get at these things.
Wow.
And I think the gift that we get, at least when we're working with our clients' businesses, probably not in our own. We have the same problem they have in their own.
Right.
Is that we get these snapshots once a month, once a quarter. Obviously different team members are in there like every day or whatever, but as if I'm overseeing the engagement, right, and I see them once a quarter, and I'm watching, I'm like, man, do you have any idea how much better you are than the last time I was here? Like, and the answer is they don't.
Yeah.
And I love being able to kind of give them the gift of comparison,
Yeah.
and it's even better when you can do it with hard data and they're like, holy smokes,
Yeah.
we've really come a long way.
That's great.
So yeah, I think it's it just gives me limitless optimism about people's, not that I didn't already have
I was
that.
gonna say, right. Yeah, got it.
Never mind.
Yeah, right.
But no, it gives it helps me to it's probably the reason I have such limitless optimism in people's potential,
That's really interesting.
because I watch it. I'm like, no, you can get there.
Yeah.
Mike, he's never going to be a leader. I would be careful with that.
Yeah.
Mike could be a leader if Mike wants to be a leader.
Yeah.
If Mike wants to be a leader and you want Mike to be a leader and we all work together to make Mike be, a leader, he's going to be a freaking leader.
Yeah. Man, that's so true.
I've watched that.
Yeah. That's so true.
Let me play you this tape
Yeah.
of 100 Mikes.
Yeah.
That I've watched turn into leaders.
That's so cool. And you're so right. People don't change because you tell them to change or because you want them to change. They have to want to change.
Well, that is the essential ingredient.
Yeah.
And no matter how much potential you see in someone, if they don't want the thing, then there's this person who wants to be a leader, who's way further away from it but wants it.
Yep.
Is gonna get there.
Yep.
Compared to this person who's, they just need to make a few tweaks, but they don't want to.
Yeah.
I know incredible people, leadership, sales, project management, doesn't matter. I know people who, it's kind of like the most talented kid on the team that doesn't want to practice.
Yeah.
There's no overcoming that.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want this for you. Anyway, we were talking about progress with people, and this time of year when you start to get into that, like, reflect back, forcing people to look at their progress, because they only want to look at where they failed, which is funny.
Yeah.
But forcing people to look at their progress is kind of a cool gift. I feel like we get to give people.
Yeah, I think that's really true. It's very positive.
Yeah, man. Thanks for checking in.
Always.
So today we're going to talk about what it takes to retain top talent. And this is, we've talked about some of this stuff before. So before you tune out, and say, I've heard this topic, I promise you have not heard this topic. I'm going to get the givens out of the way. There are certain things that are given, and we've talked about them in previous episodes, and it's awesome stuff. And you should go back and listen to some of the, I want to say episode 3 or 4 or something like that, where we talked about creating a great place to work and making sure that people want to stay and that type of stuff.
Yep.
I'll cover those in 30 seconds.
Cool.
You've got to have a great culture. You have got to have opportunity for people who see an opportunity to grow into a thing. You've got to have leaders that people want to work for, so that they don't want to quit your leaders, quit your managers. And you've got to invest in your people. You got to grow your people. You got to train your people. You got to challenge your people. You got to put them in situations to grow. Otherwise, you won't keep good people. But we're not talking about good people in this episode. What are we talking about in this episode?
Talking about top people.
We're talking about the top talent.
We're talking about the 1%, maybe even the 1% of the 1%.
Right. We're talking about those people that when you look at, you're like, oh, they're special. Mm-hmm. And if you're lucky enough, you have some of these people in your organization. If you don't have some of these people in your organization and you've been around a while, I would bet you that you have had some of these people in your organization and you screwed it up. And that might be the hard truth for you to hear right now. So we're going to go through some of this stuff, and this is a really uncomfortable conversation for me on some levels. I'm just going to get the elephant in the room out there for me, in that I was the top talent where I worked. and I worked for someone who blew it.
Mhm.
And so I'm speaking on many sides of this equation. Um, my personal experience in the seat as top talent that didn't get what was needed to keep top talent, and working with hundreds of companies
Right.
who have both been successful at keeping and failed to keep top talent, and I've watched all those movies play out, and as well as in our business in building a model as now I'm okay, big guy, like
Right.
you're now that you're in control, don't screw it up, right? And doing it in that forum, and so I have a lot of feelings on this.
Yeah.
I am emotional on the topic. I'll warn everybody, you mostly because you're next to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay.
But I do get emotional on the topic because it is this is scary stuff. This is like truth time, and some of this stuff is hard to stomach for owners and leaders, and some of the non-owners and leaders who are listening to this may like pull over and start banging on the steering wheel and be like, yes, this. And I'm probably gonna receive some phone calls from some people who are like, dude, you put some stuff out there I really wish you hadn't.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess buckle in.
Buckle in.
Yeah.
So Matt, what's your I want to, and I know obviously everybody's, you go into this as much as you want to go into this, but I'll also preface this, folks, that if you can't tell, and I'm sure you can, Matt is top talent. He is an especially special. He is. He's he's an especially special guy. He's in an incredibly short time come into our business and earn the trust and respect of all of our team members, all of our clients, and immediately made a massive impact, and truly has earned his way into our top talent model. And so I wonder from your perspective, Matt, like what is truly necessary for someone like you to be retained?
Yeah.
How might I retain you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really great question. And there's the part of me that wants to talk about leadership. There are levels to it, obviously. And I think one thing that I'll throw in here is that there are probably people listening to this that you may have people that you're wondering whether or not the people in your brain are top talent in your company, if they fit this mold. And as Chad said, I would bet that some of them are. And one of the things I would encourage actually is that I would bet that some of them don't know it, and they may not have yet been incited to become their full potential. And I feel like I hear that a lot. Like, I offered, if anybody wants to take this position, and nobody stepped up and took it.
Yeah.
There are people out there that don't know that they are capable of that level of greatness, and they haven't experienced belief in themselves to that point. And I've been fortunate to have a couple of mentors, and you being one of them, obviously, that have seen potential in me, that have really taken me and pushed me to another level of opportunity. So I think that's just one of the things that is an input here too, is your ability to recognize and incite top talent to take that mantle is extremely important.
What am I looking for? How do I spot my potential top talent?
I think that there's really, I think maybe there's two buckets that are easy to consider. Maybe I'll do three. I'm going to say competency, I'm going to say coachability, and I'm going to say, maybe I'll keep it three C's and do culture. Uh, but I don't necessarily mean culture in the context that they fit your culture perfectly, although that would be ideal. Like, you would hope that that's part of it too, but that's not necessarily. They can learn some of the behaviors that you have. I more mean that they have high emotional intelligence, that they treat other people really well, that they make your culture better, they make people feel better about themselves. So if you're fortunate enough to have competency, coachability, and culture, you have top talent in the making, or already made in your hands. And if you are recognizing one out of those three, and especially two out of those three, you have an opportunity in front of you, which is to go to that person, help them see where their shortcomings may be, and see if you're able to get them to all three.
I love it. All right, cool. So that's how I spot potential. Would you also give me that even if somebody has all three of those things, they may not be the top talent? That in other words, these are like prerequisites for somebody to be top talent. They're competent, they're capable, and they have. I'm sorry, they're competent. They're coachable, and they're a culture fit. This sounds like something that I would start to dig and invest and figure out with the top talent. I think top talent also has a deep desire for greatness. What that means to everybody, differs from person to person. But you got to have all those three things. But the real differentiator, and this is when you said what you said about like, hey, maybe you have some of these people on your team, they have this potential on your team, they don't know it. I think what great leaders need to do is light a spark. They need to create a spark, and sometimes it's like lighting a wet fuse, like spark and nothing happens. I'm like, okay, cool. This is solid talent, but this is not my top talent. My top talent are going to demand greatness. They're going to demand it for themselves, and they're going to demand it from the company, and they're going to demand it from everybody on the team.
Love it. Get me fired up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
And I remember, guys, and I'm sorry, this is going to be super embarrassing. But when I introduced Matt to our team, I said, guys, this is someone who is going to demand more of us. And that is why I'm so excited that he's joining the team, because he is not going to let us be as good as we are today. There's no chance he'll be okay with that. He's going to make sure that we're better. And then Matt was like, no.
Yeah.
Which is why we love him. It's great that he's super, but that's exactly what you've done. And you've demanded greatness from yourself, and you've demanded greatness from everybody on the team, and you've demanded greatness from the company, and all of that in your own way. And this doesn't have to be everybody's way.
Sure.
Has felt like a hug, because that's how you roll. Is that
it's true.
in all of that demanding greatness has felt super great hugger. But all that demanded, which we don't hug enough. Maybe all
right, let's add that to the list.
Dial in more hugs.
Maybe we end every show with a hug. All right, I'm just
I'm good if we don't.
Okay, all right, it's just an idea.
Okay,
I'm just an idea. Something to think about.
That's too
that's
bad.
the debate for the day. Yeah. I thought you said we didn't hug enough. I mean, how many hugs do you want to hear? All right, a quarterly hug. All right, Chad.
Hug.
We'll meet in the middle at 10.
Thanks. And not on camera.
Got it. Okay. All right. Fine.
I'm probably an awkward hugger. I don't know if I've even seen myself on camera.
That's a very good point.
Anyway, what Matt has done is he's demanded more of the company, and he's driven us to be better for driven that greatness. And in his style, it's been like a big hug. But that doesn't have to be everybody's style. Some people are going to press you. Some people are going to yell at you. Some people are going to. That's okay as long as that's a fit. As long as it's a culture fit. As long as that's right for your vibe, inside your organization. But that's what we're talking about when we're talking about top talent. And I'm going to get, we've already acknowledged the givens, right? You got to be this company that's, a great culture, great leadership, opportunity for growth, and that we're, investing in our people. I'm going to go to the thing that nobody likes to talk about.
Yeah, please do. Cause this is real, by the way. And go ahead. Please do. This is very, very real.
Is you've got to pay them more, and you've got to pay them differently. You've got to create compelling financial possibilities for your top talent. The thing that I said when I first started Well Built, and this comes from my personal experience, guys, in working, in the past, not at Well Built, not at my own company, but working for somebody, doing not exactly what I do today, because our business is a very, different and specialized, highly focused business, but in the same industry. as what I do, is what well built is. I worked in a company where they got this wrong, and they got it wrong with me very specifically, and so I am like a walking case in point here. And what I've said from the moment I started Well Built is we have got to be able to attract and retain people who are capable of running their own business.
Right.
And they need to want to be here, and they need to see this as a no-brainer, way better option than starting their own thing. And that doesn't mean, and I love all of our people, I love all of our people, but it doesn't mean that every one of our people is that, okay? Right? Like, not every one of our people today is that. Maybe someday they will be. Some of our people, by design, will never, have no desire, to
Right.
ever be that type. They don't have that entrepreneurial spark. But we need to have enough of those people inside our business to go where we're trying to go and accomplish our mission, which is to help thousands and thousands of construction companies to be incredible places to work that make happy customers and make uncommon profit. If we're going to make that kind of impact, we're going to need a lot of people who are wired like me, which means they can start their own business.
Mm-hmm.
And
which means why do they need you, Chad?
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
And so, well, and the truth is they don't need me. The truth is they don't need it. We have to create a compelling picture. And so a really, really important part of that picture, straight up, is income. And it's money. And so if you're going to attract and retain people who could own their own businesses, you have got to get them paid like they own the business to an extent. And so I'm sorry, and I have to pause here. I'm going to do this probably 5 more times. This is for the really big boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
This is not for your really good people.
Mm-hmm.
This is for your freakishly good people.
Mm-hmm.
This is for your people that you're like, yep, that is uncommon, that is special, and I gotta build around that uncommon specialness, that greatness that I talked about. Okay, right? And so, for our big boys and girls, we need to figure out a way to pay these people like business owners. Business owners who are listening to this are like, oh, Jesus. Right.
Yeah.
Because it is stressful, right? You're privately owned businesses. You're sitting there thinking like, dude, I don't need a bunch of business partners. I don't want to invite a whole bunch. I don't need a bunch of cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. I've invested my time and energy. Like, dude, you're right. I get it. It's a lot, and you've earned it. And I'm not taking anything away from the I'm going to say it, like, the heroes who have the courage to start businesses in America and become employers and take the massive risk.
Right.
Entrepreneurs are my heroes.
Yeah.
They are awesome people. And they deserve uncommon success in their lives.
Yep.
If they've been able to create success in their business. That's the trade-off, right? Like, they're taking the huge risk.
Yep.
So I'm not taking anything away from them. But if I want to keep people, if I want to get people and keep people who could do what I'm doing by running their own business, what must I do? So I'm going to get into a couple of different kind of like what I guess I would say misunderstandings.
Okay.
That people get into in this space, and I would love if you kind of explored and asked questions as I went. And think through that, like one of our audience members.
Yeah.
But one of the misnomers is that, or misconceptions is that the only way to do that is by making somebody an equity shareholder in the business. Which means that they literally own a percentage of the company.
Yep.
And they are your literal business partner.
Yep.
And that is one way, and a great way, I'm a fan of that way, but it's one way to do this, but it is not the only way to do this, to get people that uncommon financial reward that we need to create for them to be compensated like a business owner.
Do you think there's a misnomer that you need to give that equity versus have the person purchase it, by the way?
Oh man. So let me be very clear. Do not give equity. Period. That's hard stop. Giving equity in a business is unfair to the entrepreneur, and it devalues the business. And not to mention, it comes with all kinds of weird tax shit that everybody has to deal with when you just gift somebody something. Like you can gift them something, but then they still have to pay the taxes on that. You still have to pay taxes on that transaction. It's a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So if you're gonna go down the hard equity path, if you're gonna go down that road, you've got to require people to buy in. If you're not going to require people to buy in, then you need to figure out a different mechanism than today hard equity based on today's valuation.
Yep.
It needs to then be. There are different ways of doing that, but I'll use a basic term that gets tossed around in this space, which is a profits interest, and that essentially says, "Hey, I am gonna. If you want to gift it to somebody, you can say, I am going to gift this to you.
Yep.
But I'm not going. What the gift you're getting today is worth nothing.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Therefore, we don't have to pay taxes on it, and I didn't give away anything.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am giving you is, from here, as we build the value of our business, you own a portion of that, and that can be done in hard equity, but it can also be done in what's known as phantom stock or exit warrants. There's all kinds of fun ways of there's very confusing jargon. I'm just going to cut through the jargon and get to the message, which is ways where it is not actually hard equity in the business. That person does not own a piece of the business, but they are contractually entitled to a percentage of the value of the business upon their retirement or the company's sale. And that's oftentimes, you ever heard the term phantom stock? That's normally what people are talking about, or phantom equity.
Yep.
That's a great way of doing it. The upside for everybody is that there's no weird tax stuff. Phantom, I can also pay you phantom equity profit sharing. So I can say, for example, I am going to gift you, Matt, 10% of my business that is worth $20 million. So you just got $2 million in net worth, but it's in phantom stock. So you actually didn't just add that to your net worth,
right? Because
you're not actually an owner, but I am contractually obligated to pay you like that when you retire or I sell my business. Make sense?
Makes total sense.
But it's going to be paid in the form of a bonus, as opposed to in the form of
a distribution.
Correct, a distribution. And now in profit sharing, I can now say to you, and this is not, but they are not. These are mutually exclusive things. They don't have to be the same.
So just to recap real quick, exit warrant / phantom stock is change of control, selling the business, or retiring from the business at a certain age or after a certain time of service.
That's right.
Right. And then profit sharing is what again?
So profit sharing is something that happens in real time. That happens every year. And it's really just, again, a bonus plan. But I can say, hey, you're a 10% equity, stockholder, phantom stockholder. You're guaranteed your 10% upon your retirement or my sale. And I will pay you 10% of our net profits.
Right.
Like I would pay somebody a distribution, but it's not a distribution. It's just going to be a bonus. This is a great way for people to structure deals, for owners to structure deals who don't want to create. And by the way, a 10% is obviously a placeholder and very freaking generous.
Right.
Right. For the record, that's a big number.
Right.
But it's a placeholder in this conversation for whatever you feel like is right in your business. And then I can even take, remember I was telling you the profits interest concept of saying, hey, instead of giving you 10% of the business, I'm going to give you 10% of the future. You with me?
Yep.
I can take and play that in a phantom stock and profit share model and do the exact same thing. Again, it's a very good way for owners who want to own, who don't want to have partners,
Yep.
but who do want to make sure that people get paid like owners. And
Good.
that's really ultimately what I'm doing. I'm just finding a way to pay you like you're an owner.
Yes. To actually see the contribution that you are making in the business.
That's right.
To see the return on the contribution you're making to the business.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's great. Are there any other, because I have a question on my mind, but I want to see, you've laid out this relative menu for us so far of hard equity, whether that's gift or buy. And you've advised against gifting it. You've given
gifting
us
unless you're gifting just on futures,
profits,
which is okay.
Interest. Yep. And then you've also given us exit warrant / phantom stock, which Chad always says, and I think it's a good point, that exit warrant is a great term to use instead of phantom stock because it's much more accurate, and phantom stock just sounds like a fugazi.
It sounds like a
So like for the
fugazi,
top talent, like to put you in their mind when you come to them and say, hey, I want to give you phantom stock, it's just a little bit like, so what is this? So just
it's a guaranteed exit bonus is what it is.
Right. Yep. And then the last one you've given us is profit sharing, which is a bonus program based on net profit. There's more to it, but it's a bonus plan.
That's right.
And so are there any other options on the menu? And then I have a follow-up question to that, based on.
Yeah, so we get, this is a bit of a complicated one, but you could also do stock options where you can actually, basically take your company and break it down into stocks, and you can have people in your company being given stock options in your company and being given the right to buy shares into your company through a stock ownership program. We're not going to get into that conversation. It's not typically it's not the most typical approach for most privately held contractors, but it is another option. And then the last thing that I'll toss out there is you could create essentially like an ESOP pool. This is a great way for some people to exit. We should do a show on ESOPs.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I see owners do sometimes is they will create an ESOP as their exit, and they will set up that top talent with much larger shares of the ESOP upon their exit. And that's like a win-win-win for everybody when somebody exits, though the lose is the valuation, because ESOP valuations aren't as good as the open market.
Yep. Got it. And totally makes sense. And so it would be fair to say at this point that like this is a very common menu of options that you've laid out. The stock options less so, but the other ones you feel pretty comfortable are like common, commonly being used in construction businesses.
Yeah, the most common.
Great. So with that in mind, you gave some thought around how an owner may make a decision for, I think you said something to the effect of like, if you don't want to partner in your business, profit sharing plus exit warrant is a good way to go because you avoid having an actual partner in your business. But I'm wondering, if you have this menu of options in front of you, how do you go about choosing the right avenue for that top talent?
A lot of it has to do with what matters most to that top talent.
So talk about that more.
And also the capabilities of that top talent. So some scenarios that I've been exposed to, the top talent feels very strongly that they need to be a hard equity owner. That is normally something that stems from a sense of meaning, like a deeper sense of meaning in quote unquote owning a company. They want to be a business owner. That matters specifically to them. They don't want to just be paid like a business owner. They want to be a business owner. And so the equity path is really the only way to do that. And then the question is, really the preferred model is to, okay, pony up, buy in. Right. I'll sell you, you got $1 million, I'll sell you 3%.
Yep.
right? Here's a valuation. Let's do it. And it's a great path in for a very, 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 very small, limited handful of people who could actually afford that.
Yeah.
So, which is where if you're on the equity track, if you have somebody who's hard committed to equity, then I usually end up helping them to navigate to some sort of profits interest environment where they're not gifting, where they're definitely, we are not gonna gift hard equity.
Yeah. Yeah.
At today's value, we're going to gift hard equity on future value if we have to gift at all. And I'd rather you didn't have to gift on a particularly like a big, well-established business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's different in our business. Like our dude, we're 4 years in. I don't want to say we're not well-established, but we're like 10 employees. We're,
Right.
It's a different thing than 150 employee, trade contractor.
Right. No, that makes sense. Got it. So one consideration is like if there is that deep need from the person of need to have ownership of it. And I think I'll just toss this in and then I want to hear how else you make that decision. Sometimes, by the way, it is worth challenging that top talent if that is actually what they need and desire, because you hear the word equity and you think that that's what you're supposed to ask for or go pursue, and don't realize that there's all these other avenues. So if that's you out there that's listening and you're thinking I'm top talent, equity is a great avenue, and it might not be the avenue that you want to go down because there are so many other good options that may be better for
exactly
you.
Right. And just because you're now an owner, congratulations, you still don't vote. You're a 5% shareholder of my company. You're not going to make decisions about my company.
And I'd love to have a whole podcast about like the mindsets you have to take on to like accept becoming a minority owner or part of a profits interest or profit sharing. There's certain things you got to accept too as top talent, as your owner is accepting other stuff about them and
that's
in
right.
their business.
That's exactly
really
right.
Yeah.
And you've got to be so you've just got to be really aware of what matters to you.
Yeah.
And the model that you then build has to because look, what's the true intention? The true intention is to say to that top talent, I want you to want to be here and nowhere else.
Yep.
So building this in your own little vacuum without having a sense of what matters to them is problematic, unless you're like, hey, this is the model that I'm going to replicate into the future because I plan to do a lot of this, and so I'm going to build it. And people are gonna have to take what I build, because I'm not going to build 9 different versions of this for my 9 future business partners, right? You get my point.
Yep.
Usually, we're tailoring this for like 1, 2, 3 key people, and it's wise to basically go to those people and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And I want to build something that, and by the way, the ideal scenario, Matt, is that you do this before they are asking you.
Right. Yes. That's
right.
A great point.
Again, having been in that seat, being the person who's sitting there, like, if I got to ask. And I remember putting myself, like, I ended up talking to people and being like, should I? And people were like, absolutely, you should. And I'm like, God damn it. This is bull.
Yeah.
You end up feeling taken advantage of and all that.
Right.
All these negative
And then you
feelings.
go into a negotiation instead of this really amazing opportunity.
Correct. And now I'm starting off my whole conversation with like, you owe me.
Right.
And that's a bad place for owners to be.
Yeah.
Again, personal experience, that sucked.
Yeah.
I did that same thing because I was like, dude, you kind of screwed me here.
Yeah.
Like, this is a bad spot.
Yeah.
And by the time you're there, like you're how receptive is that person on the other side of it?
Yeah.
Side note, I'm not saying I did a good job as an employee, in this scenario. I think I did a crappy job as an employee, but I was in a bad mindset because this was not a conversation that was proactively broached, and it really should have been.
Yeah.
It really, really should have been.
So what else are you looking for as an owner as to what plan to bring to that top talent? Whether it's profits, interest,
I need to know what matters
warrant.
to me as well. And what my line is there. I think similarly, owners who are like, I don't want to see, have anybody else with a possibility of control, they're never going to have equity, right? That kind of thing. My answer is like, well, you can write that they don't get any control into your deal.
Yeah.
Right. They can have equity and also have no control. Like
yes.
Both of those things could be true.
Yes.
Contracts are powerful things.
Yes.
And so I think similar to the top talent, owners need to be educated on, like, limits
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
it's true.
With all of that being said, look, um, if I find that in more than half of scenarios, honestly, like really probably 70% plus of scenarios, um, the kind of phantom stock and profits interest, or I'm sorry, phantom stock and profit sharing is the right model. That is usually the right model, because the situation is normally I have top talent. I'm the boss. I'm not the owner. I'm not thinking about my exit. I'm good. I have a succession plan. I want this to go to family, or it's just so far away that it's not really not top of my mind.
Yep.
So I'm thinking about, how do I make sure this person wants to be here and nowhere else.
Mhm.
I'm going to pay them like an owner, but I
Mhm.
also don't need them to be like an owner, and
Mhm.
they don't really like, the difference in taxes is menial.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal,
Mhm.
And there are some other, like, I can give them a company credit card and an expense account and be like, hey, this is also what an owner would have. Here you go, enjoy.
Right.
Right, if I really feel compelled to do that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But the um, the owner of the business, I think, should be um, more often than not thinking about their own exit
Oh,
and
yeah.
how are they going to be taken out.
Right.
And dude, like, I'm not going to get into the specifics of our deal right on the air, but this was definitely my thinking when
Mhm.
I'm like, I know me, and I know I will want to not be the owner of this someday.
Yeah.
I'm not the person who is going to hand this to my kids. My kids are going to have to make their own money. That's going to happen, right? I will help them to do whatever it is they want to do,
Right.
but they're going to have to figure out their own passions. God, I hope nobody is cursed with this brain and this problem that I have. I hope my kids do normal things.
Yeah.
Um, but so I don't want to have a family business. I don't
Mhm.
want to retain a thing for the next 80 years. I don't
Mhm.
want to build a legacy,
Mhm.
inside. I want to do amazing work, and I want to hire people who are smarter than I am.
Mhm.
And I want those people to help to take this business into the future. So for me, my mentality is I need people who have the money to buy me out.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I need people to have the money, and that should be a consideration.
Yeah.
When as an owner, you should be thinking about how you're planning to exit, and to the people that you're getting involved, are you planning on them being able to take you out?
Yeah.
Because if so, they're gonna need cash, right?
Yeah. So true. And yeah, as I mean, it's really interesting to hear you talk about all this stuff, because we've obviously had certain conversations about this with clients and with each other, and and to hear you explain your thought process is really fascinating. And one thought that flashed through my mind that I'll share to the listeners out there is, on the talent end. Uh, One of the things I don't want, and I had trouble stepping over and doing, was the risk and the capital, or the debt
That's
that's
right.
involved with starting a business. And I think that's a reality that, again, I think it is really a salient point that you made about entrepreneurs, and their willingness, and how much respect you really should have for entrepreneurs. That is unbelievable, because doing that is an extremely hard step. And if you are afraid to do that, being an intrapreneur, where you go rise through the ranks through a company, may be a very good option for
Totally
you.
agree.
And if you are an owner and you are looking at people and wondering why they wouldn't just go start their own thing, just remember that they might not have that belief, that natural push to go start the thing, but that they would be very capable of running a thing that already
Correct.
has the capital behind it.
Yeah, and this is one of the, and I get into this conversation with founders, because now we're talking about the difference between a founder
Oh, yeah,
right,
right.
and an owner.
Yes, right.
Not all owners are founders. All founders
So
are owners,
true. Yeah.
and so many founders, they look at people and they're like, they don't have what it takes to do what I
Right.
did. And I'm like, well, right, they didn't found a company.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean they can't run yours.
Right.
There's a difference.
Right.
You're running a 500 person, going concern. They're an excellent manager and leader. They're wonderful. But you're right. They're not the entrepreneur that you were. They aren't the founder, and
Yeah.
that's okay. And I really think that's a great point that you bring up, and I think it's important for people to know, for owners to not feel bad. Don't like, so none of this is designed to make owners start to like say, oh my God, what do I need to do? Unless you're having that reaction, in which case maybe you should think about
explore it. Yeah.
Explore that.
Explore that
But
reaction.
it's not designed to make that, happen with owners and start to feel guilty or something like that. Because the truth of the matter is very, 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 very few people fit the description of top talent as Matt and I've laid it out. It is much more likely that you just need to have a really good compensation structure, really great opportunities for these people to grow in their career, and to build a continuously improving income over the course of time. The people that you see that greatness, those people, all I'm trying to say to you is this: you need to go to here are the rules. Go to them first.
Mm-hmm.
Collaborate to figure out what an awesome future for them would look like, and build them into being a quote unquote business owner in your company, and then stand back and watch it grow. I've watched it so many times, and it is often the X factor between the companies that like get stuck and the companies that launch. The companies that launch, the owners sometimes are forced, which I hate seeing. But they put somebody else into that ownership pool, literally or figuratively, and the business got to the next realm. Just because you founded it doesn't mean that you're going to be the only person who's capable of taking the thing to the next level. And in fact, if you're like me, you recognize that you're really only capable of bringing it to a certain point. And there are going to be people who will take it way beyond what you originally could. So I love this discussion.
So good.
I bet we'll revisit it.
We have to.
You know,
Can I add one last thing?
Yeah.
You said this to me, I think, earlier this year or last year. The last rule, I think, is don't hate the person that you are doing the top talent that you are doing whatever deal it is you come up with. Because you said something to me like, I've noticed that owners often end up feeling really frustrated or angry with the people that they are like coming to some awesome agreement with, because they're feeling sad and defensive and protective of their
feelings,
of their what they've built and their equity or their profits or whatever it might be. So it's like totally understandable. But I think that's a really cool thing to just consider is like, what if you didn't feel angry or negative towards the person that you are putting into this deal, because they've earned it and because it's gonna be really, really great.
It's gonna be
it's
great.
Easy for me to say that as the one not doing it. So I recognize that flaw in my argument, but I think it's a really worthwhile thing because you just want that person to feel really good about the decision that they're making so that they don't have any second doubts.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And yeah, you the entrepreneur, you the founder, you did the hard, scary thing, and you definitely do deserve what you're getting. But you deserve to take the company to the next level.
Yeah.
And a part of what's necessary to do that is when you have those people who are destined for great things, to make sure that those people are paid like owners.
Yeah.
You want them thinking like owners, acting like owners, and in some way paid like owners. Every wildly successful company that I've ever worked with has some version of that in play. Some version of that.
What an interesting observation that is.
Yeah. I can't make a list. It would be inappropriate, but you know these companies.
Yeah.
You do. You know these companies. I've worked with wildly successful businesses in my 16 plus 17 years doing this, and you know them, and they have a deal. And if you got into the root of it, you would discover that they had a deal a long time ago, for these top talent. And it's that top talent that stayed. And instead of leaving and starting another $100 million company, helped to grow this $100 million company into a $1 billion company. Think about it.
Love it. Fire me up.
It's good stuff, man.
It's so good. Yeah, it's so interesting.
It's a lot of fun. So our XVY today, we're gonna have a fight.
Yeah, let's do it.
We got to make the fight kind of quick because we got to be about an hour, and that's hard and fast. And this took a lot of time.
Yeah. We got excited.
So the
No
XVY
regrets.
today, no regrets. No regrets.
No regrets.
So the XVY today is: should you niche or should you be a generalist? And I'm gonna lead off here and say, like, you're an idiot if you think anything other than niche. You got to.
That's awesome, Chad. I love when you're wrong. I absolutely love when you're wrong and when you're like so confidently wrong.
Okay, Mr. Generalist.
You don't do anything not.
You got to sell me on generalistness because I'm Mr. Niche, baby.
Come on, man. Talk about being a generalist. So, all right. So when we're talking about being a generalist, I'm talking about diversification.
Yeah.
I'm talking about multiple revenue streams.
Okay.
I'm talking about different market sectors. I'm talking about different types of clients. I'm talking about recession proofing. Come on, man.
All right. I lose.
So no, but you do, I know for sure that there's some merits to going down the niche path. And I am serious when I say, and I think you'll, clarify your position too. I am serious when I say, like, to be a generalist to be a generalist in the truest sense of the word is to be directionless. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean that you can't do everything. You can't be everything to everyone. With that said, it does not mean that you only have to do one specific thing. I've heard companies say before, there's just one thought that comes to mind. This is a very specific example, but we never make money during the winter. Okay. So
hurrah!
Can we do something to make money during the winter then? Like, how long has this been going on?
No, we shan't. We shall not make money.
Right.
My father did not make money during.
It has been 37 winters since we've made money. Oh my gosh, I love that. But can we do something? Yes, there is something else that you can do. Open your mind to that. So being diversified, having multiple business, profit centers that you can expand is a super awesome thing. But with that said, Chad, like, what are you talking about with niching down? Like, why would you even take that side then?
Yeah. So I really am going to fight for it a bit, but it's hard to, honestly, in the face of that list of recession proofing, because that is real stuff. But what I mean by a niche is, you are not trying to be all things to all people. You're specific about what work you want and what work you don't. Based on geographic factors, based on scope factors, based on market sectors, based on a list of different things. And that, here's why I take the side of niching, is that it enables you to be seen as the go-to in a space. And when you're seen as the go-to in a space, you have an inbound stream of people who think you are different and better than your competition. You likely are, by the way, different and better than your competition. And people find you and pay you more to do business with you. So it's better profit margins. It's more predictable inbound stream. And you are able to kind of take your pick from the work that finds you. It's a really powerful place to be. And in our professional services business, we are very much in a niche. I mean, we are focused on the construction industry, not just the construction industry, but the commercial, the non-residential, the non-single family residential construction industry.
Yep.
That's our space. That's pretty niche.
Yeah.
But I will give you and agree fully with the idea of diversifying revenue streams. I want you to do it inside your niche, though. I want you to be in your niche, and I want you to diversify your revenue streams in your niche. So and how can you diversify your revenue streams? Well, one way is you can go after different market sectors. Another way is you can just have lots of customers, right? You can diversify your revenue streams by saying, like, look, we may only build data centers, but we build data centers for every data center builder, developer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's a way to diversify.
Yep.
But if all you do is build data centers, when they're like, okie doke, no need for data centers anymore,
Right.
you're in trouble.
Right.
So what I also would strongly encourage you to do is to not call your niche data centers. I would challenge you to call your niche what is it that about data center projects
Yeah, I love it.
that you can replicate in different kinds of projects. So maybe data centers have a lot in common with hospitals. Maybe data centers have a lot in common with top secret facilities.
Yeah.
Maybe data centers have a lot, right? And so what I want you to do is keep in this realm that makes you different and special.
Yep.
But I want you to mostly diversify where the money comes from.
Right. Right.
Because that's the big risk.
Yeah. 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 Make your niche well defined. Don't make it too narrow. You have to actually put some parameters around it that lead to you being able to have opportunities from different places.
That's right.
Inside of that niche.
That's right. And one of the greatest ways to diversify your revenue streams is geographic growth. And one of the things that and look, we haven't been battle tested with a hardcore recession since we started this business. But I came into this industry, into the professional services industry, in the middle of the Great Recession. I started in 2008. In the Great Recession, and so I do know what that's like. I know what that experience feels like. And what I would say is, for our business, the construction industry is a niche, right? Ooh, gosh, what if the construction industry tanks? Well, what I've learned is that the construction industry doesn't tank once in the past 100 years. Has it tanked universally? It usually tanks in certain geographies, in certain market sectors, in certain, right? So certain types of structures, right? If you were building restaurants in March of 2020, that sucked everywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
But if you were building distribution facilities in March of 2020, that was real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Across the United States.
Yes.
But if you were building multifamily in 2024 in Washington, D.C., that sucked. If you were building multifamily in 2024 in Nashville, it was great.
Yep.
So there's so many little pockets is my point. And so geographic dispersion across the United States in the construction industry also gives you a lot of insulation.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do, hard to pull off. Easy for us, right? Like, we can do
need
most
some
of
of
our
that
stuff
top talent.
teams.
That's been one thought on my mind this whole time, is as you're considering diversifying and getting out of your niche and into other spaces, you need really, really good people to go do that. That's
right. Yeah. And some of the best, the absolute best, and again, we're talking about that list that I was talking about earlier, right? The special guys, the ones that are like, man, you know them. The best of the best, they are highly diversified, but they own many niches. They're on top of they have a go-to for data centers. They have a go-to for interiors. They have a go-to for government. They have a go-to. You with me? And so what they've recognized is the power of niching. And they've been able to replicate niches.
Yeah. I feel like we somehow ended up that we need generalized niches.
I still think you won the argument.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I mean,
because of the revenue, because of the diversified, I agree with you. But I think because of the diversified revenue streams, I cannot argue that.
Yeah.
You do have to have diversified revenue streams. And if being a doggone full-blown generalist, we'll build anything.
Exactly. Right.
We'll get you there. Look, it's better than only building gas stations and panicking when electric cars show up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's such a good example. Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. But meanwhile, get really clear on what you want to deliver and who you want to deliver it for.
Yeah.
And if I had $1 for every construction company that's core values include integrity, quality, and safety.
Right.
We would not need to grow well built.
If we had $1, we'd be squared away.
We would be all good. So what makes you actually different? Because then you're just like everybody else. And so you got to be careful in that generalist game to get still really clear of who you want to do it for and what makes you better, different, and unique.
Hard agree.
Yeah. Cool.
What are you reading?
Right now, I am reading a couple things, but main thing on my mind is Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond,
My
right?
man.
Yeah, yeah. So been great so far. I just had finished State Sapiens, so I'm like well too far down like the Homo sapien history of
Totally are.
humankind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually I've been reading it pretty slow because I'm like, okay, I need like a little bit of space between,
Yeah.
between learning
What's the coolest
how
thing you've
we
learned?
cross the Bering Strait or whatever it is. Uh, the coolest thing that I've learned, man, probably recently been reading about the way that the Spanish conquered the Aztecs
Yeah.
and the Incas, and specifically was
Whoops.
yeah
Yeah.
with like I'm not even I don't think I'm exaggerating. Even if I am, it's not by much. With like 30 guys
Yep.
versus like thousands and thousands and thousands of Incans.
Oh wait, they were just sick.
And well, it was sickness,
Yeah.
it was guns,
Yep.
and it was horses.
Yeah.
And one of the really interesting things is like with like 20 horses, they were cutting down thousands of people because the Incas had never seen horses before.
The saddle.
They had never seen a horse before. So this
Yeah.
thing is running at them, and there's a person on top of it with a steel sword. And so like that's just been really fascinating. And yeah, the way that we got here, we're just a bunch of guys and girls just doing our thing on Earth. It's all good.
It is awesome.
It's all good. We just we need to like each other more and be happier.
We
Like it's
do.
pretty unbelievable that we've ended up where we are.
Remember that hug I told you about?
Yeah, we're gonna hug.
No, I'm
Okay,
just saying
dang
you
it.
just did it,
Dang it.
on
All right.
air. You just
Dang
did like your word hug thing.
All right, fine. All right. You were talking about a figurative hug instead of a
Sissy.
literal hug that we're gonna get. Dang it. All right. What are you reading? Let's change the subject.
So the truth is I'm totally still reading The Power Broker because
Yeah.
it's immense.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, you did say that it's like so thick.
It's absurd.
With like 2 or 3 C's.
Yeah. It's absurd.
Yeah.
But I am really enjoying it. But I figured I'd do a shout out for one of my favorite books of all time, just because the listener shouldn't hear the exact same book recommendation every time, or book commentary. Not that we're recommending per se. This one is a recommendation. Is Influence: The Power of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. That book is really, really transformative if you want to understand how people have been influenced. All of us have been influenced into making the choices that we've made in our lives. And you just have to promise me, if you read it, you have to use the powers for good.
Yes.
Because you could totally use them for evil.
That it's true.
And the book is about how you use them for evil, how people are using them for evil, which makes it a fascinating read. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. He does do a good job of like positioning it that like don't use them for evil though. Like, which I appreciate. It makes it more palatable.
Yeah. But there are some pretty hard concepts in there, man. Some pretty like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then you start
studies.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. It's a really good book.
Well, cool, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Great time as always.
And Merry Christmas and happy holidays in general for those of you who guys are checking this out, and I guess it'll probably be released on December something. So
yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, happy holidays, everything.
Yeah. We're grateful for you guys. Thanks for listening.
Agreed. See you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Let's hug.